Hello, today we're going to talk about context window control in Double. Some of the features in Double automatically collect context from within your code base, and others will not do so, so it's up to you to pass it manually to them. Context is very important so the AI knows what you're talking about. Now, for example, in our chat feature here to the right, by default, the chat doesn't draw any context from your code base. If you were to ask the chat to, for example, modify my code to add a new print statement, it will probably tell you it doesn't know what your code looks like. Here we can say it doesn't have access to your existing code. And that's because the chat only knows what you explicitly tell it. Now, there's multiple ways to pass context to the chat, and of course, the most obvious one would be to copy and paste chunks of our code. But this isn't very clean. So we lose the indentation, we lose the formatting, and it's actually very hard to read. So we do have shortcuts for these key bindings, and you can find that on our website under the key bindings section. Now I happen to be here on a Mac, so I'm going to just do command. I'm going to do option K to include my code here, and you can see here now we have some lines attached. So this is kind of like how we name the snippets. So it's the file name and the numbers representing which lines. And you can also click here to expand that, and you see it's much cleaner this time around. Now you can pass more than one snippet. Again, same command. Option K was what I was looking for. But you can see here I started a new chat, and now there's two snippets, and you can open both of them and see what's inside of them. So this is a much cleaner way to pass context. And now when you actually talk to the AI, it will know what you're talking about. In this case, I'm just going to ask it, can you translate my code to Spanish? Just as an example. And you'll see here that it basically does that because it has the only for the code that you attach, not for the entire file. Now, you may be wondering, my snippets here were very short. How long of a snippet can you pass to the chat? For any given chat thread, will take 20,000 tokens of context. So you can pass 20,000 basically tokens at any time, and the chat will know what you're talking about. So your chats can get pretty long. Now, the other feature that we have here, and this is only right now for our pro subscribers, but we have the apply edit feature, which takes the code snippets and smartly applies it back to your code, so you don't have to copy and paste it back to your code. So let's run it here. So I'm going to click here and when I accept the changes, and you can see now that my code is now in Spanish. Now that feature on its own actually has a 30,000 token context window, and it's all through the chat conversation. And that's just because we pass more of the chat conversation in case your chat conversation is very long. So it knows exactly what you want. In this case, the apply edit read that I wanted to translate my code in Spanish, and it actually translated the entire code file in Spanish. So its context window is bigger. And once again, it will not know anything outside of the current chat conversation. If you were to start a new chat, that context is lost. And let's just try this. Translate my code to Italian. It will not know what you're talking about. Now, if you were to go back, so you can click here and go back to the same chat conversation, that also throws back the context again. So now you can continue this conversation with the context that you previously had. The last feature I want to talk about is, of course, autocomplete, and I'm just gonna return my my file to English here, so it's clear. So autocomplete, can basically complete code that you have, and so I'm just gonna do a random print statement that prints hello world, of course, classic example. And you can see here autocomplete has automatically filled hello world, and we can just click tab to actually accept that. And that actually, it's not immediately clear, you haven't selected any context, but autocomplete automatically draws 4,000 tokens of context within the file that you currently have open. Now, those 4,000 tokens of context can be for code before the line you're editing, or if we had these somewhere here, it would also account for code under. the line you're editing. And we do some dynamic splitting depending on how many lines are over, how many lines are under. We try to have an 85 to 15 split, but overall you're gonna get 4,000 tokens worth of code for those autocompletes. That's all the context that autocomplete currently gets. Now, if we're speaking about the future, we are working on projects to fine-tune autocomplete based on your code base, in which case it will have extended context. And we're also working on projects for the chat to automatically retrieve relevant snippets from your code base, so you don't have to select any manual context. So users might prefer that, and once those are live, you'll hear from us. But in the meantime, what I've explained in this video is how you control context on Double. So hope this helps. And if you have any questions or feedback, my email is at the bottom of this page.